listening.
Oh yeah,
Ah,
he just
live
started.
stream. Okay, let me find. I'm just missing my note to myself, of course. Okay. All right, I'm ready. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Janmadhyasya Nyavadyad Itaratas Kartes Abhijna Svarat Tenebrahma Hridaya Adikavaye Muyanti Yat Suraya Tejovari Mridam Yata Vinamayo Yatra Sri Sargo Risya Damna Svena Sada Nirrasta Kukaman Satyam Param Dimahi. And going on. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narotamam Devim Sarasvatim Vyasam Tatu Jayam Udirayet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayana, unto Nara Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Sarasvati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayesh abadresu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavat uttama sloke bhaktir bhaivati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Vayam tuna vitpri piyama utama shloka vikrame yakrin nevatam rasajananam svadu svadu pade pade. We never tire of hearing the transcendental pastimes of the personality of Godhead, who is glorified by hymns and prayers. Those who have developed a taste for transcendental relationships with him relish hearing of his pastimes at every moment. So that brings us to our reading of the Srimad Bhagavatam for today, beginning with um, Canto 2, Chapter 4, Text 19. Sa esha atma mavatam adisvaras trayimayo dharmamayas lapomaya or tapomayaha gata vialikar ajay sankara dibir vitarkyalingo bhagavan prasiratam. Translation: He is the Supersoul and the Supreme Lord of all self-realized souls. He is the personification of the Vedas, religious scriptures, and austerities. He is worshipped by Lord Brahma and Shiva and all those who are transcendental to all pretensions. Being so revered with awe and veneration, may that Supreme Absolute be pleased with me. So, of course, the translation and the purport are by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Ki Jai. The Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead, although the Lord of all followers of different paths of self-realization, is knowable only by those who are above all pretensions. Everyone is searching for eternal peace or eternal life, and with an aim to this destination, everyone is either studying the Vedic scriptures or other religious scriptures, or undergoing severe austerity as empiric philosophers, as mystic yogis, or as unalloyed devotees, etc. But the Supreme Lord is perfectly realized only by the devotees because they are above all pretensions. Those who are on the path of self-realization are generally classified as karmis, jnanis, yogis, or devotees of the Lord. The karmis, who are much attracted by the fruitive activities of the Vedic rituals, are called bhukti kami, or those who desire material enjoyment. The jnanis, who try to become one with the Supreme by mental speculation, are called mukti kami, or those who desire liberation from material existence. The mystic yogis, who practice different types of austerities for attainment of 8 kinds of material perfection, and who ultimately meet the supersoul, Paramatma, in trance, are called siddhi kami, or those who desire the perfection of becoming finer than the finest, becoming heavier than the heaviest, getting everything desired, having control over everyone, creating everything liked, etc. All these are abilities of a powerful yogi, but the devotees of the Lord do not want anything like that for self-satisfaction. They want only to serve the Lord because the Lord is great, and as living entities, they are eternally subordinate parts and parcels of the Lord. This perfect realization of the self by the devotee helps him to become desireless, to desire nothing for his personal self, and thus the devotees are called nishkami, without any desire. A living entity, by his constitutional position, cannot be void of all desires. The bhukti kami, mukti kami, and siddhi kami all desire something for personal satisfaction. But the nishkami devotees of the Lord desire everything for the satisfaction of the Lord. They are completely dependent on the orders of the Lord and are always ready to discharge their duty for the satisfaction of the Lord. In the beginning, Arjuna placed himself as one of those who desire self-satisfaction, for he desired not to fight in the battle of Kurukshetra, but to make him desireless. The Lord preached the Bhagavad Gita, in which the ways of karma yoga, jnana yoga, hatha yoga, and also bhakti yoga were explained. Because Arjuna was without any pretension, he changed his decision and satisfied the Lord by agreeing to fight, karishye vakanam tava, and thus he became desireless. The examples of Brahma and Lord Shiva are specifically cited here because Brahmaji, Lord Shiva, Srimati Lakshmiji, and the 4 Kumaras, Sankara, Sanatana, etc., are leaders of the 4 desireless Vaishnava Sampradayas. They are all freed from all pretensions. Srila Jiva Goswami interprets the word Gata Vyalikai as Projita Kaitavai, or those who are freed from all pretensions, the unalloyed devotees only. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 19, verse 149, it is said, Krishna Bhakta Nishkama Ata Eva Santa Bhukti Mukti Siddhi Kami Sakali Ashanta. Those who are after fruitive results for their pious activities, those who desire salvation and identity with the Supreme, and those who desire material perfections of mystic power, are all restless because they want something for themselves. But the devotee is completely peaceful because he has no demand for himself and is always ready to serve the desire of the Lord. The conclusion is, therefore, that the Lord is for everyone because no one can achieve the result of his respective desires without his sanction, but As stated by the Lord in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8, verse 9, all such results are awarded by him only, for the Lord is Adishvara, the original controller of everyone, namely the Vedantistas, the great Karmakandiyas, the great religious leaders, the great performers of austerity, and all who are striving for spiritual advancement. But ultimately, he is realized by the pretentiousness devotees only. Therefore, special stress is given to the devotional service of the Lord by Srila Shukadeva Goswami. So, repeating the translation. He is the super soul and the supreme Lord of all the self-realized souls. He is the personification of the Vedas, religious scriptures, and austerities. He is worshipped by Lord Brahma and Shiva and all those who are transcendental to all pretensions. Being so revered with awe and veneration, may that supreme absolute be pleased with me. Wow, this is a beautiful verse, and it's full of so much, as we say every time. But in reality, basically, what we're saying here, or what Shukadeva is finally getting around to saying, and what Srila Prabhupada is interpreting for us here, is that really the Lord God is in everything, and he's approachable by so many different means, because he's available in so many different ways. And but the best way to relate to the Lord is through this bhakti that we offer, this devotional service. But in reality, everything we do and every way we want to relate to the Lord will bring some results. This is a very encouraging verse. Um, would you like to say something about that, Govinda? How encouraging this verse is?
Yeah, yes. I think, I mean, I definitely agree that, well, for Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna Yamuna, Hare Krishna Devi Maharaj, please accept our respectful obeisances, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Yeah, I think that, just like you're saying, it points to the fact that everything ultimately rests in Krishna. Any paths that we may take, any practices that we may have, Krishna is the origin of them all. And so, um, but in the purport, Srila Prabhupada, and what's interesting too is that phrase right there was stood out to me too in the verse where Shukadeva Goswami is saying that everyone who's transcendental, oh, he is worshipped by Lord Brahma and Shiva and all those who are transcendental to all pretensions. That part really stood out to me, and I really appreciate how Srila Prabhupada was very much emphasizing that portion of the verse too. I thought I knew what pretentious means or pretensions means, but I don't think I did, and then I looked it up. And so pretension, the dictionary definition from Oxford is that it's a claim or assertion of a claim to something. So my understanding is that someone who has no pretension, who is not pretentious, they're not laying a claim for anything. I don't claim my family. I don't claim my money. I don't claim my home. None of this I claim for myself. So that's someone who's able to worship Krishna purely, is someone who doesn't have that kind of pretension, who doesn't claim to own anything, which is a very high state of consciousness. But um, can you still hear me, or is it? Yeah, is my volume? Well, if I leave it here, can you hear me? Okay. Oh, so I looked up the definition, and it gave me that clarity as to who it is that we're talking about here. And that's what's special about a devotee, is that a devotee is not looking to take claim for himself for anything, him or herself for anything. Whereas someone who's practicing karma yoga or jnana yoga or hatha yoga, there's still some kind of claim that they want to make. There's something that they're holding on to. The karma yogi, they have material enjoyment. They still have a desire for material enjoyment. The jnana yogi, they have a desire for mental speculation. They want to, and the hatha yogi, they want mystic powers. They want all kinds of mystic perfection or material perfections. So they're all looking for something uh, for themselves, but they're utilizing Krishna as their supplier. They're going to God and asking God for these things, whereas the devotee is not asking for anything. The devotee is asking for service. That's one. That's one definition that Srila Prabhupada gives us for the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, is that we're asking Krishna to please engage me in your service when we're saying Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. All we're asking for is so that we can continue doing something for Krishna, something that makes him happy, which can be for him directly or it can be for his devotees. But that's what it is. That's the subtle difference between these different practices and bhakti yoga, is that we're aiming to not have our own desires, and we're aiming to make our only desire is to do whatever Krishna desires. So that leads to the ultimate perfection of our life, and the ultimate peace and happiness is when we're able to finally give up the things that we want and take in the things that Krishna wants and really try to live life in that way. And we have
Yeah.
experiences of that. Oh yeah, go ahead, please.
Yes. But I must comment when you say that, because this is of course the interpretation. But looking at the verse, at the last part of the verse, it says, "Being so revered with awe and veneration, may that supreme absolute be pleased with me." So, aren't we still wanting to to be the Lord to be pleased? And we want that from the Lord, for the Lord to be pleased with me? And or is that okay because that's a spiritual desire,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah,
that
yeah, that's one thing. I know our Guru Maharaj has made it a point that it's not really natural for a jiva to not have any desires at all. It's just our desire. We have desires. The only thing is that making our desires spiritual, and the spiritual desire uh is one is one that involves our relationship with Krishna and making Krishna happy. If that's our desire, then that's spiritual. But if we're desiring things for ourselves, then that's a material desire. So there's nothing wrong with having desires. It's just what we're looking to aim our desire on. What's the object? What is the object of our desire? So, which makes sense because I mean, if we think about the spiritual world, we think about either the Vaikunthas or Goloka Vrindavan. Everything is centered around Krishna. It's everyone who's living there, they're all absorbed in Krishna and making him happy. And yeah, I don't know what that kind of consciousness looks like. I think we just get kind of hints and hints of it, especially when we're reading Srimad Bhagavatam and reading different pastimes of Krishna. Then that's when we can get different um, clues and different hints as to what that kind of atmosphere looks like. I forgot I was gonna say something else, but I don't remember. Was there anything else you wanted to add?
no, I don't think so. I was going to suggest that you read the next verse.
Yeah, I think we can do that. Yeah. Okay. So next we're going on to verse 20. Sriyapatir Yagyapati Prajapatir Diyampatir Lokapatir Tarapatihi Patir Gatis Chandaka Vrishni Satvatam Prasidatam Me Bhagavan Satam Patihi. Translation. May Lord Sri Krishna, who is the worshipable Lord of all devotees, the protector and glory of all the kings like Andaka and Vrishni of the Yadu dynasty, the husband of all goddesses of fortune, the director of all sacrifices, and therefore the leader of all living entities, the controller of all intelligence, the proprietor of all planets, spiritual and material, and the supreme incarnation on the earth, the supreme all in all, be merciful upon me. This is a long purport. It's going to take us to the end of class. Okay, purport. Since Shukadeva Goswami is one of the prominent Gatavyalikas who are freed from all misconceptions, he therefore expresses his own realized perception of Lord Sri Krishna as being the sum total of all perfection, the personality of Godhead. Everyone is seeking the favor of the goddess of fortune, but people do not know that Lord Sri Krishna is the beloved husband of all goddesses of fortune. In the Brahma Samhita, it is said that the Lord, in his transcendental abode, Goloka Vrindavan, is accustomed to herding the Surabhi cows and is served there by hundreds of thousands of goddesses of fortune. All these goddesses of fortune are manifestations of his transcendental pleasure potency, Kuladini Shakti, and his internal energy. And when the Lord manifested himself on this earth, he partially displayed the activities of his pleasure potency in his Rasa Lila, just to attract the conditioned souls, who are all after the phantasmagoria pleasure potency and degraded sex enjoyment. The pure devotees of the Lord, like Sukadeva Goswami, who is completely detached from the abominable sex life of the material world, discuss this act of the Lord's pleasure potency, certainly not in relation to sex, but to relish a transcendental taste inconceivable to the mundaners who are after sex life. Sex life in the mundane world is the root cause of being conditioned by the shackles of illusion. And certainly Shukadeva Goswami was never interested in the sex life of the mundane world, nor does a manifestation of the Lord's pleasure potency have any connection with such degraded things. Lord Chaitanya was a strict sannyasi, so much so that he did not allow any woman to come near him, not even to bow down and offer respects. He never even heard the prayers of the Devadasis offered in the temple of Jagannath, because a sannyasi is forbidden to hear songs sung by the fair sex. Yet even in the rigid position of a sannyasi, he recommended the mode of worship preferred by the gopis of Vrindavan as the topmost loving service possible to be rendered to the Lord. And Srimati Radharani is the principal head of all such goddesses of fortune, and therefore she is the pleasure counterpart of the Lord and is non-different from Krishna. In the Vedic rituals, there are recommendations for performing different types of sacrifice in order to achieve the greatest benefit in life. Such benedictions as a result of performing great sacrifices are, after all, favors given by the goddess of fortune, and the Lord, being the husband or lover of the goddess of fortune, is factually the Lord of all sacrifices also. He is the final enjoyer of all kinds of yajna. Therefore, Yagyapati is another name of Lord Vishnu. It is recommended in the Bhagavad Gita that that everything be done for the Yagyapati, Yagyarthat Karmanaha. For otherwise, one's acts will be the cause of conditioning by the law of material nature. Those who are not freed from all misconceptions, Vyalikam, perform sacrifices to please the minor demigods. But the devotees of the Lord know very well that Lord Sri Krishna is the supreme enjoyer of all performances of sacrifice. Therefore, they perform the Sankirtana Yagya, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnuha, which is especially recommended in this age of Kali. In Kali Yuga, performance of other types of sacrifice is not feasible due to insufficient arrangements and inexpert priesthood. We have information from the Bhagavad Gita 3.10 through 11 that Lord Brahma, after giving rebirth to the conditioned souls within the universe, instructed them to perform sacrifices and to lead a prosperous life. With such sacrificial performances, the conditioned souls will never be in difficulty in keeping body and soul together. Ultimately, they can purify their existence. They will find natural promotion into spiritual existence, the real identity of the living being. A conditioned soul should never give up the practice of sacrifice, charity, and austerity in any circumstances. The aim of all such sacrifices is to please the Yagyapati, the personality of Godhead. Therefore, the Lord is also Prajapati. According to the Katha Upanishad, the one Lord is the leader of the innumerable living entities. The living entities are maintained by the Lord. Eko Bahunam Yo Vidadhati Kaman. The Lord is therefore called the supreme Bhuta Brit, or a maintainer of all living beings. Living beings are proportionately endowed with intelligence in terms of their previous activities. All living beings are not equally endowed with the same quality of intelligence, because behind such development of intelligence is the control of the Lord, as declared in the Bhagavad Gita 15.15. As Paramatma, Supersoul, the Lord is living in everyone's heart, and from him only does one's power of remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness follow. Mataha smritir jnanam apohanam cha. One person can sharply remember past activities by the grace of the Lord, while others cannot. One is highly intelligent by the grace of the Lord, and one is a fool by the same control. Therefore, the Lord is the Yampati, or the Lord of intelligence. The conditioned souls strive to become lords of the material world. Everyone is trying to lord it over the material nature by applying his highest degree of intelligence. This misuse of intelligence by the conditioned soul is called madness. One's full intelligence should be applied to get free from the material clutches. But the conditioned soul, due to madness only, engages his full energy and intelligence in sense gratification. And to achieve this end of life, he willfully commits all sorts of misdeeds. The result is that instead of attaining an unconditional life of full freedom, the mad conditioned soul is entangled again and again in different types of bondage in material bodies. Everything we see in the material manifestation is but the creation of the Lord. Therefore, he is the real proprietor of everything in the universes. The conditioned soul can enjoy a fragment of this material creation under the control of the Lord, but not self-sufficiently. That is the instruction in the Ishopanishad. One should be satisfied with things awarded by the Lord of the universe. It is out of madness only that one tries to encroach upon another's share of material possessions. The Lord of the universe, out of his causeless mercy upon the conditioned souls, descends by his own energy, Atma Maya, to re-establish the eternal relation of the conditioned souls with him. He instructs all to surrender unto him, instead of falsely claiming to be enjoyers for a certain limit under his control. When he so descends, he proves how much greater his ability is to enjoy, and he exhibits his power of enjoyment by, for instance, marrying 16,000 wives at once. The conditioned soul is very proud of becoming the husband of even one wife, but the Lord laughs at this. The intelligent man can know who is the real husband. Factually, the Lord is the husband of all the women in his creation. But a conditioned soul, under the control of the Lord, feels proud to be the husband of one or two wives. All these qualifications, as the different types of pati mentioned in this verse, are meant for Lord Sri Krishna. And Sukadeva Goswami has therefore especially mentioned the pati and gati of the Yadu dynasty. The members of the Yadu dynasty knew that Lord Sri Krishna is everything, and all of them intended to return to Lord Krishna after he had finished his transcendental pastimes on the earth. The Yadu dynasty was annihilated by the will of the Lord because its members had to return home with the Lord. The annihilation of the Yadu dynasty was a material show created by the Supreme Lord. Otherwise, the Lord and the members of the Yadu dynasty are all eternal associates. The Lord is therefore the guide of all devotees, and as such, Sukadeva Goswami offered him due respects with love-laden feelings. The verse again. Shriya Patir Yagya Pati Prajapati Yam Patir Loka Patir Dharapati Patir Gatis Chandaka Vrishni Satpatam Prasidatam Me Bhagavan Satam Patihi. May Lord Sri Krishna, who is the worshipable Lord of all devotees, the protector and glory of all the kings like Andaka and Vrishni of the Yadu dynasty, the husband of all goddesses of fortune, the director of all sacrifices, and therefore the leader of all living entities, the controller of all intelligence, the proprietor of all planets, spiritual and material, and the supreme incarnation on the earth, the supreme all in all, be merciful upon me. This is so Srila Prabhupada covered many points in his purport, and many of which I don't know if I could really expand upon them. But the first thing that I wanted to mention is how Shukadeva Goswami is mentioning is praising and glorifying qualities of Krishna that he himself is having to exhibit. So he's speaking the Srimad Bhagavatam, and he's explaining Krishna consciousness, basically. He's explaining Krishna consciousness to Maharaj Parikshit and to all the assembled sages, which takes a level of intelligence, a lot of intelligence, to really say everything that he's saying. And so, but him being a pure devotee, rather than trying to take the credit for himself and thinking himself to be so intelligent and so learned, rather than doing that, he's praising Krishna being the controller of all intelligence. Diyampati, is that what it is? Diyampatir, that's what it says. Diyampatir. Diyam is of intelligence, and Patihi, the master. So Diyampatir, the master of intelligence. So he's praising Krishna, because it's very easy to fall into that if we're giving a class, or if we're just speaking to someone who doesn't know about Krishna consciousness, or even anything, like any kind of topics, anything that we might be very learned in, like music, if we know about music, or if we know about other different things like that. And sometimes we can kind of, oh, Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hi. So sometimes we're on we're on 2.4.20. Yeah, we've already finished the reading, so now we're just speaking on it. Maybe we can speak on it a little bit, and then we can go to verse 21. That way we can all be on the same page. We're not having to, yeah. So yeah, I this would be my only comment then. So how if we know about music, or if you know about math, or if you know about cooking, all these kinds of things that might make us feel intelligent, and we have this kind of intelligence, we can, when we're speaking to someone else about it, then we can feel a sense of pride or a sense of ego, or kind of puffed up, thinking that we know more. And so Sukadeva Goswami, rather than staying in that kind of a place of pride or ego, he's glorifying Krishna, that Krishna is the controller of all intelligence. This is not me. Whatever I'm saying, Krishna is ultimately the controller of whatever it is that I'm speaking, which is really instructive for us whenever we're engaging in any kind of activity. It's like we can do this before any kind of activity. How in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells us he's the ability in man. So before we do anything, we can kind of meditate on that, or praise Krishna, that Krishna, you grant me the ability to but I just keep thinking of music because that's like an easy example of like the concerts or I go to work. I mean, I work or sometimes I play soccer. So Krishna gives us the ability to do all these different things. And so um, finding practical ways to think about Krishna and glorify him. This is a it's a nice um, I don't know realization or a nice realization that Shukadeva Goswami is giving us. So yeah, there's a lot more that we can say, but I think if Imuna, if you want to say something, or if not, then we can go to verse 21. That way, it'll be easier for us all to kind of discuss.
Well, Hare Krishna, I don't really have anything much to add. It's just more of the awesomeness of how all-inclusive everything is, or how all-inclusive the Lord is, and being the leader and the controller and the proprietor of everything, it's how to connect with the Lord that's everywhere. Well, we have our path of the devotional service.
Hmm.
So I really don't have anything more to add to that particular verse. So if we wanted to do text 21 to have Mother Levanga get an opportunity, that would be nice.
Yeah, okay. Would you like to read Lavanga Prabhu?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Is it 2021 now, right?
Hmm.
Okay. Just warning, I might disappear. Generator's working now, but we've been using it for the last 2 days. So,
Wow.
yeah, I'm saying. Okay, let's see here. Yar angari abedayana samari yataya diyanu pashyanti tattvam Dhyānupashyanti tattvam atma. I, I don't know the meter for this one. I thought it was Brahma Samhita, but I guess not.
Yeah, it sounded like it.
Atmana Vedanti Chaita Kavayo Yataruchi. Yeah, it's not Brahma Samhita meter. It's something different, but I'm not sure. Same Mukuro Bhagavan Prashidatam. Okay. It is the personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna, who gives liberation. By thinking of his lotus feet at every second, following in the footsteps of authorities, the devotee in trance can see the absolute truth. The learned mental speculators, however, think of him according to their whims. May the Lord be pleased with me. Purport. The mystic yogis, after a strenuous effort to control the senses, may be situated in a trance of yoga just to have a vision of the supersoul within everyone. But the pure devotee, simply by remembering the Lord's lotus feet at every second, at once becomes established in real trance, because by such realization his mind and intelligence are completely cleansed of the diseases of material enjoyment. The pure devotee thinks himself fallen into the ocean of birth and death, and incessantly prays to the Lord to lift him up. He only aspires to become a speck of transcendental dust at the lotus feet of the Lord. The pure devotee, by the grace of the Lord, absolutely loses all attraction for material enjoyment. And to keep free from contamination, he always thinks of the lotus feet of the Lord. King Kula Shekar, a great devotee of the Lord, prayed, Krishna Tvadiya Para Pankaja Panjalantam Avye Vyame Vishtatu Manasa Raja Hamsa Prana Prayana Samaye Kapavata Pityai Kanta Varodana Vido Smaranam Kuntaste. My Lord Krishna, I pray that the swan in my mind may immediately sink down to the stems of the lotus feet of your lordship and be locked in their network. Otherwise, at the time of my final breath, when my throat is choked up with cough, how will it be possible to think of you? There is an intimate relationship between the swan and the lotus stone, so the comparison is very appropriate. Without becoming a swan or a Paramahamsa, one cannot enter into the network of the lotus feet of the Lord. As stated in the Brahma Samhita, the mental speculators, even by dint of learned scholarship, cannot even dream of the absolute truth by speculating over it for eternity. The Lord reserves the right of not being exposed to such mental speculators, and because they cannot enter into the network stem of the lotus feet of the Lord, all mental speculations differ in conclusions, and at the end they make a useless compromise by saying, as many conclusions, as many ways, according to one's inclination, yatam rucham. But the Lord is not like a shopkeeper trying to please all sorts of customers in the mental speculator exchange. The Lord is what he is, the absolute personality of Godhead, and he demands absolute surrender unto him only. The pure devotee, however, by following the ways of previous acharyas or authorities, can see the Supreme Lord through the transparent medium of a bona fide spiritual master, Anu Pashyanti. The pure devotee never tries to see the Lord by mental speculation, but by following in the footsteps of the acharyas, Mahajano Yanagata Sa Pantaha. Therefore, there is no difference of conclusions amongst the Vaishnava acharyas regarding the Lord and the devotees. Lord Chaitanya asserts that the living entity, Jiva, is eternally the servitor of the Lord, and he is simultaneously one with and different from the Lord. This tattva of Lord Chaitanya is shared by all four sampradayas of the Vaishnava school, all accepting eternal servitude to the Lord, even after salvation. There is no authorized Vaishnavacharya who may think of the Lord and himself as one. This humbleness of the pure devotee, who is 100% engaged in his service, puts the devotee of the Lord in a trance by which to realize everything. Because to the sincere devotee of the Lord reveals himself, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 10:10, the Lord being the Lord of intelligence, and everyone, even in the non-devotee, favors his devotee with proper intelligence, so that automatically the pure devotee is enlightened with the factual truth about the Lord and his different energies. The Lord is revealed not by one's speculative power or by one's verbal jugglery over the absolute truth. Rather, he reveals himself to a devotee when he is fully satisfied by the devotee's service attitude. Shukadeva Goswami is not the mental speculator or compromiser of the theory of as many ways, as many conclusions. Rather, he prays to the Lord only, invoking his transcendental pleasure. That is the way of knowing the Lord. So, I will again read the translation. It is the personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna, who gives liberation. By thinking of his lotus feet at every second, following in the footsteps of authorities, the devotee in trance can see the absolute truth. The learned mental speculators, however, think of him according to their whims. May the Lord be pleased with me. So, what I got from this verse and purport is that for one to have realization of Krishna, or complete realization of Krishna, Krishna has to give that. Prabhupada mentions in this purport that Krishna reserves the right to reveal himself. And so it's reminding me, at least, that it's not by our necessarily our own effort that we see Krishna. Of course, the effort has to be there, but ultimately, it's Krishna who has to reveal himself to us, and he does that, or he wants to do that, when one is engaged in his pure devotional service. I'm sorry, can you guys hear that music in the background?
No, not at all.
Oh, okay, good. Zoom is blocking it out. But anyway, it's people aren't home today, so they're playing their music, and so I'm trying to keep my train of thought. But anyway, so yeah, it is by devotional service, engaging in this loving service to Krishna, that Krishna starts to notice notice the devotee and say, okay, yes, I want to reveal myself more to him. So it mentions in this verse here that it is the personality of Godhead Shri Krishna who gives liberation by thinking of his lotus feet at every second. So, to put it in a very simple way, Krishna is a person, and naturally, if somebody is favorably disposed towards us and wants to get to know us, then we might reveal a little bit of ourselves to that person, and how close that relationship develops. We'll reveal ourselves a little bit more, depending on how the relationship grows, how if the person doesn't have any ulterior motive for exploiting us, things like that. And then just like you see how everybody has like a best friend or a close relative, something like that, who really knows you and understands you completely or knows everything about you. And this happens because we can see that this person doesn't really have any ulterior motive for wanting to know us, or they're not wanting to exploit us. So therefore they're able to know us for who we really are. So devotional service is like that. um, Devotional service, we develop love for Krishna. And by developing this love for Krishna and this desire to serve Krishna and this desire to please Krishna, Krishna is the one who actually reveals himself. So ultimately, it's Krishna who gives this liberation from material bondage. We can't just do this by our own effort. Just like in the same way, I was answering a question the other day about the appearance of Lord Chaitanya. Somebody asked, why does Lord Chaitanya have to come in this age? And one of the reasons, there are many reasons, but one of the reasons is that this love that the gopis of Vrindavan have for Krishna, the very intimate exchanges, only Krishna himself can actually give that. No other person. So Lord Chaitanya was thinking, this is in the chapter external reasons for Lord Chaitanya's appearance in the Chaitanya Charitamrita and the Adi Leela. So Krishna himself is thinking, it's been a long time since I've given this love for the to the fallen conditioned souls, and only I can do it. So therefore I will come as a devotee and teach the world basically how to be a devotee and how to develop this love. So Krishna is the one that ultimately holds the key. It's not through our own speculation or necessarily through our own efforts, but alone. But there is a process, and by following this process for developing love for Krishna and being sincere, then Krishna becomes very happy to reveal himself. But when I say, but it's not just by our own effort, it's not that we cannot concoct any process, and therefore Krishna is obliged for revealing himself. Or even with devotional service, it's not like a business deal. Okay, I chanted my rounds today. Now Krishna has to reveal himself completely to me. But it's at the end of the day, it's a loving exchange, just in the same way like it is with any other person. So this is just some thoughts I had on this verse, and I'll shut up now so you guys can say something. All right, Krishna.
Well, I just want to comment that I think you did a great job balancing the Krishna Katha with bachata or reggaeton, whatever they're playing. I don't know what it is. I'm just assuming.
You got a little bit of everything today. It's because
Oh, okay.
everybody's at home except for like the essential workers.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, yeah. I don't know if I could be able to concentrate with like music blaring. Um, yeah, I appreciate your points about Krishna being the grantor of Krishna being the grantor of Krishna consciousness, that if we want to be Krishna conscious, then Krishna is the only one who can make us, give us the mercy to fully become absorbed in him. So, but like you were saying, we have to do our part to reciprocate that relationship, um to not instigate, initiate, yeah, to initiate that relationship, and then to sustain it, and deepen it. That's the main thing that was really striking me with this verse, is how Shukadeva Goswami is saying that it is the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, who gives liberation. By thinking of his lotus feet at every second, following the footsteps of authorities, the devotee in trance can see the absolute truth. I think it was just like yesterday or the day before where that was really standing out to me, that the level of surrender, like the depth of the surrender of our consciousness, of our whole existence, that we are um striving for, or that we're cultivating, that we're endeavoring for. It's just it was I guess it just kind of hit me, really it hit me in a deeper way of how much we are, how much Krishna consciousness is really like pulling out of us, is how much how much the depth, how deep the 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 practice is, but ultimately how deep the ultimate result is of Krishna prema, when it's like when it's like having that kind of consciousness where it's just Krishna, it's only Krishna, and only thinking about him, only wanting to please him, only wanting to make him happy at every second. It's like I can't even sustain like a mundane idea every for like longer than 10 seconds. It's like my head is jumping all over the place. But to only be fixed on Krishna every like second after second for the rest, for and we're eternal. We don't die. So it's like not just this life, but for eternity. It's just focused on Krishna. And it's not like pulling teeth where it's like, okay, I gotta focus on Krishna. But there's an actual eventually, through Krishna's mercy, like we're talking about, through Krishna's mercy, we can get to a platform where we want to, or we're happy to think about Krishna and happy to want to make him happy. And actually in that state is when we can, is the only way that we can be happy. If we're not thinking of Krishna at every second, then we're suffering. But I mean, someone like myself, but I don't see it as suffering, or I'm still having to kind of smack my head against the wall before I can see, okay, I'm suffering, and then that kind of realization brings me back, and it's like, okay, you gotta do something for Krishna, because I'm in this space right now. I got to get out of here. So that's basically the main thing I wanted to comment on, is how deep the surrender goes, how deep Krishna consciousness, what that means. Yeah.
Yes, and you've done a very good job of getting into the profundity of this topic of Krishna consciousness. But the only thing that I would like to add to what you and Mother Lavanga have said about this verse is that although there is a bona fide way to get closer to Krishna, I need to tie it in with the previous verses and just say that if God is present everywhere and in every way and for everybody, um, everybody is going to get some kind of benefit through their spiritual life, through relating to Krishna in any way, shape, or form, even in the formless way or whatever. But the only thing we're emphasizing here, I guess, or that they are emphasizing here, is that to get to where we're trying to get to, this, Krishna consciousness, it requires the devotional service and Krishna's mercy on top of all of that. This is very important to remember. That there are many different ways, many different things you can do, many different ways you can think of God, and you're going to get some response from all of that. But the type of relationship that we as devotees are looking for is the eternal devotional service for the sake of devotional service, you know. And so that's what I get out of this verse, or tying it in with the couple of verses, the other verses we read today. Any more comments?
Yeah, I know. I like that point at the end, even a devotional service for the sake of devotional service. That's what the pure devotee is doing it for. They just what they want in exchange is more service. But I also like how your point in the very beginning too about how everyone will get some type of benefit. I mean, even Brahma mentions here that the mystic yogis, I mean, they get some benefit of being able to see the Lord in everybody's heart. So they have paramount realization, so that they have a sense of eternality, that I and the Lord are eternal, um, and they have knowledge. So knowledge of who the Supreme Personality of Godhead is to a certain extent, and who they are. But what's lacking there is ananda bliss. So the bliss that comes from having an intimate relationship in one of the five primary rasas. So, but like you said, there's always some level of God realization there, however one is practicing. Oh, Shanti, you have something you want to add?
Yes, Shanti could add something now.
You can teach us. He says,
Harry Bold.
eat prasadam. This is the key.
Harry Bold, Shanti. Harry Bold.
You can't hear because I got the headphones in. Maybe if you say it
Hare
again.
Krishna, Shanti.
Harry Bold. Harry Bold.
Hello.
She's like, who are these people?
Yeah.
It's so she's developing like the little kid look, but at the same time she's got like the baby cheeks.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Cute.
She's 1.5 now. Yeah, these are just I mean, I can kind of going along with the eternality of how by us practicing Krishna consciousness, we're I don't know, I don't think maybe not guaranteed, but there's a more strong of a likelihood that we're able to come into the families of devotees, and that consciousness remains with us. Because I mean, like even her, it's crazy. We went on a Harinam, and after the kirtan finished, after the Srila Prabhupada ki jai, like after all the ki jais, Shanti by her like on her own, we're on the sidewalk, and on her own she just goes down and pays obeisances to the devotees. And so it's like these things, it's like what we do is it's so real, and it really stays with us. So as long as we just do our best to continue, we're going to keep hearing. As long as we do our best to continue, then Krishna will help us and put us in the right association. Because I can't imagine these second, third, fourth generations who like grandparents are devotees, their great grandparents are devotees. You're talking about with what we were reading with the Yadu dynasty. You're talking about dynasties now that are starting to establish where there's
Yes.
actual devotee dynasties in the West. I mean, I think that's kind of been commonplace in India, but now here, even in the West, because of Srila Prabhupada's mercy, we're getting Western dynasties, Western Vaishnava dynasties. Yeah. I don't know if there are any announcements to make, Yumuna.
Well, we don't have any announcements other than the continuation of these sessions of the Srimad Bhagavatam readings, and because we should have a class with Manunatha Maharaj about once a month. But in the meantime, this video, of course, will go up not only in the chats, but will go into the YouTube page, Kishori Punda, which every one of you can, of course, can follow and see videos in 3 different languages, questions and answers, and sometimes some nice scenery from India, where a lot of the pastimes took place, and some of them are in Spanish, but they can be appreciated visually. And besides that, we have the Facebook page, of course, which is it's called Isvara Archive, Isvara Archive. And if you follow us there, you'll find everything that we do in all three languages as well. And it's a very pleasant way to browse through the information, which we get a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit for those of you who don't want to just sit down and read a book from the beginning to the end, like let me sit down and read the Srimad Bhagavatam from beginning to end. Well, instead, we do a little bit every day of what we can. And, so we can connect with these shorter articles. So please stay connected. And please leave comments and questions for Manunatha Maharaj. And we'll meet again next week. If there's some changes in the timing, we'll be announcing that soon when the clocks change.
I think it's like 2 weeks, November 2nd, I believe.
Okay, all right.
Mhm.
So, Srila Prabhupada ki jai,
Jai.
Manunatha Maharaja ki jai.
Yeah.
Jai.
Thank you for joining us.
See you guys next
Hare
week.
Krishna.
Hare
Thank
And
Krishna.
you.
take care in the storm, please.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope you guys are okay, Yamuna. I mean, it's
I
kind of
think
stalling over us. So,
yes.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Haribol.
Krishna.
Yeah.